Dow Hill.
Jack, a 28-year-old stud boy who spends his days in his office and evenings in the throngs of nightclubs. But every morning his life makes him realize how lonely he is. After his father's death, his mother too settled in London with her second husband. But it was not that. Jack's mother did not love him, so she did not take him with her. Jack was loved by both his mother and his stepfather very much, but Jack did not like his stepfather in any ways. Although despite all these things, Jack had no complaints about his mother's new life. He was happy that his mother is happy. She started living her life again in a new way. But Jack's own happiness was getting buried in some silence. His mother was also far away from him, now just for some festival, and especially on the birthday. She gifted her son a tour of some place. Tomorrow again Jack's birthday was about to come, and this time, like every time, the birthday gift arrived in the mail a day before. But he fell asleep without checking the mail. The next morning he got up and said,
"Hey, today is my birthday, and if you want you can wish me, I won't mind."
Jack was not saying this to a human, but to a digital device, whose voice was that of a girl.
Very, very happy birthday to you, Jack.
Jack gets ready smiling. Then, like every morning when he checked his mail, Jack's mother had gifted him a tour of Breckenridge. As soon as he saw the mail, happiness spread on Jack's face, after which he went straight for a walk on the plains of Breckenridge. But Jack was more than happy that this time his mother had gifted him a tour of the place where his mother was born. This means Jack's maternal grandmother's house, where he had never been before. Jack reached Breckenridge, but he could not understand where to go. Also, he was worried that why his mother had not called him till now to wish him a birthday. Jack was just thinking while looking at the plaintiffs that suddenly a man said loudly in front of him,
"Come, Breckenridge, then roam Dow Hill. If you have the power, then take the ghostly experience."
Saying this, he put a broocher in Jack's hand, and after taking some money in return, kept on repeating the same thing that, if coming to Breckenridge, then roam Dow Hill. By the way, Jack also heard about this hill in his mother's stories in childhood. I had heard that the phantom souls are there, and in the forests, there is darkness of night even during the day. That's why Jack thought, why not go there? And then he roamed around in the forests of Dow Hill. There he only heard some ghostly experience from the mouths of all the people. But everyone had a story of their own. Some told about ghosts of children in the forest. Someone would tell about the ghosts of Victoria Boys' School. Then Jack slowly started enjoying these ghost stories. So he went to the road to the forest office near Dow Hill, because everyone knows that road by the name of Death Road. And this is the place from where many people have seen the children roaming who used to disappear somewhere in the forest. Jack, not knowing what to find, started wandering on the Death Road, where there was just silence and mist spreading in the plaintiffs, which was increasing with the wind, sometimes decreasing. Meanwhile, a voice notification on his mobile, which belonged to his mother. Before he listened to it, he saw two red eyes, shining in the dense forest surrounded by darkness, even in the daytime. God knows what Jack thought, and he went behind those red eyes. He ran so far in the forest that he forgot that the way back was left behind. And now Jack himself was trapped in the maze of that forest. Now neither he could see the way back, not the red eyes, after which he had run away. Now there was nothing on his side than the thick forest and the numb silence, where he could hear the sound of his fast-moving heartbeat. Then he heard the sound of someone crying in the midst of this deep silence. Jack listens to this sound very carefully, with his eyes closed, and then moved in that direction. where at a distance he saw a boy sitting behind a bush from where the sound of crying was coming. Jack was only able to see him from behind, who was probably crying, with his head in his knees. He was neither a small child, not very big in age. From the appearance of his body, he looked like a boy of teenage age, who was standing on the threshold of his youth. Seeing him crying, Jack took some steps towards him and said,
"Who are you? And why are you crying like this?"
With this question of Jack, his staggering steps stopped at a distance from that boy. But that boy did not say anything. He was crying, sobbing, was pricking like a thorn in the silence of the forest. And the sound of his sobbing began to cool Jack's spine with fear. But he took a slow step with courage and asked again,
"Why are you crying?"
When Jack asked again, this time with the sound of sobbing, a few words broke out.
My name is David. My father is dead. Now no one loves me. I have become very lonely.
Listening to that boy, Jack said while sitting on his knee,
"Friend, my father is no more, but life is the name of living. Why waste it crying? Well, look here."
On this point of Jack, he said,
No, I will not see. Otherwise you will also leave me and go away.
On this, Jack assured him and said,
"Friend, my story and yours are the same. Look, today is my birthday, yet I am alone here in the forest, and you are also alone. Then why would I leave?"
Are you sure you won't go?
"Yeah, I won't, sure, but first you stop crying and look at me."
As soon as Jack said this, the boy stopped crying and, lifting his shoulder from the knee, turned straight towards Jack. This one moment shook Jack to the core because the sight in front of him was more dangerous, that there was no head on the torso of a boy named David. After seeing that, Jack's whole body started trembling and he trembled. He fell on the ground. His eyes were still open, but his whole body was trembling as if he had been struck by an electric shock. Then David moved towards him and placed one hand on his head, after which Jack went to a different world. About 30 years ago today, at a forest officer's house where he was able to see everyone, but maybe no one could see him, he thought he lost his life, and now he is a soul, so no one can see him. Then his eyes went to a boy while cleaning the car, who was looking like David. The only difference was that there is a head along with the torso. Then suddenly a girl came to David and, taking hold of his hand, took him to the backside. The girl looked a little older than David's age. To see what's going on, Jack went behind them and peeked inside a room behind the house and started seeing. There he saw that the girl was forcibly telling David to love her. Jack was still able to see that girl only from behind. Also now, David was also falling in love. Then Jack saw someone coming, who was his maternal grandfather, who had passed away long ago. Means this house belongs to Jack's maternal grandfather, where David used to work, and the girl was his mother. Jack's maternal grandfather had now reached very close to the room. Only then did his attention go to the commotion in this room, and he came here and saw David and his daughter together. He became enraged. David at first said that he loves her, but 30 years ago, Jack's mother put all the blame on David, that he was forcing her, on which his father angrily picked up the sword kept in that house and beheaded David. And as soon as his head was severed, Jack was drawn into a bright light and fell back to the world of David, who was beheaded 30 years ago in the forest itself. His eyes were now closed, and both his hands held his head, as if his mind was bursting. Then he said, screaming in a loud voice,
"Don't kill my mother, please!"
because while leaving the world of 30 years ago, the murder of his own mother gives him a glimpse of his future appeared. After that, he got very nervous. His whole body was still trembling, but now he was able to see David's severed head, as well as the mark of the throat being cut. Looking at Jack, he says,
"Why? When you saw me dying, you did not cry, but seeing your mother dying, you screamed. She has returned after 30 years. She will not be able to go back. Will kill today itself, in the same house, by your stepfather, whom I have control over now, and no one can save her."
Hearing the return of his mother, he immediately remembers the voice note that his mother had sent. Jack realized that David was not related to him but to his mother. So he took out the mobile without worrying about her. He plays the voice note, from which his mother's voice comes out.
"Happy birthday, son. You must be thinking here why I didn't call you today to wish you. Because this time we will surprise you by meeting in front wanted. But you don't know where are you till now. Come to maternal grandfather house quickly. Me and father are waiting for you."
After listening to the voice note, as soon as he raised his eyes, he did not see David. Now he was all alone in this dense forest. He could not understand which way to go. Then, without thinking anything, he started running in the direction, and luckily he also got the road, from where he went straight to his maternal grandfather's house. Jack just came home when he saw that his mother with a cake was moving towards the same room at the back of the house, and his stepfather was following behind, who looked at Jack, and while smiling, he moved quickly towards his mother. Jack was now beginning to see David in his stepfather, who was thirsty for his mother's blood. So Jack ran straight towards his stepfather. But before Jack reached there, his mother had gone inside, and right behind him, with a sharp long knife, his stepfather too. Jack also now reached the door of that room and said loudly,
"Mom, get away from him!"
Before her mother could understand anything, David, who was hiding in his stepfather, in one stroke severed her mother's head from her torso. Jack sat on the bed, screaming, as his mother's head was cut off, and took a deep breath. Then a voice came from his digital device.
"Looks like you've had a bad dream. Take some water and relax, and also, very, very, very happy birthday to you, Jack."
Listening to the device, Jack says angrily,
"Just shut up, man!"
because this dangerous scene was going on in his dream till now, due to which he got very upset. But he also took a sigh of relief that it was a bad dream. Just then he picked up his cell phone, on which there were many missed calls from his mom and dad. Then as soon as he checked his mail notification on laptop, then his senses were blown away, because the trip was not to anywhere else but to Dow Hill of Breckenridge. Jack had no idea what to do, so he immediately called his mother, but it was not reachable. Then he received a voice note from his mother on his cell phone, in which she was calling Jack to Dow Hill for his birthday, and they had also reached there from London. Seeing all this, Jack did not waste any time and took the next flight to Breckenridge and reached his grandfather's house, where his parents were also surprised to see him, because he was about to come by evening. Jack hurriedly hugged his mother, because he was very happy that she was alive. Then he took out a divine thread from his pocket and tied it in the hand of his stepfather. His father could not believe that. Jack thinks so much about him that he is tying the thread in his hand with so much love. Seeing all this, his stepfather hugged him, and all laughed happily and got engaged in the preparation of Jack's birthday. After the birthday celebration, both his parents and Jack went to sleep in different rooms. It was almost midnight when Jack started hearing some strange sounds, and he felt as if someone passed by his room. Seeing this, Jack slowly came out of the room and picked up a sharp knife from the table and went straight towards his mother's room, where he saw that both of them were sleeping peacefully. Jack walked lightly, sat next to his mother, and looked at her with loving eyes. Then suddenly, the color on his face changed, and he said,
"Wake up, Linda. See, your David has come."
Hearing her name, as soon as Jack's mother opened her eyes were torn apart, because David was in front of him. Before she screamed, David, who was hiding in Jack's body, put a sharp knife on her mother's throat, and in one stroke, killed Jack's mother. By the time Jack regained consciousness, it was too late. The grisly corpse of his mother, and his blood-soaked hands on it, the grievous eyes of his stepfather. Jack understood everything. Jack tried his best to save his mother from dying in some way. But where did he know that David would use him to take his revenge? From then till today, Jack has not said a word to anyone. He was alone in the past and is still rotting alone in the prison cell without his mother.